On Friday, Governor Newsom issued a pardon to a Vietnam War veteran for drug offenses committed after returning home. It ended years of work by advocates to clear the record of a man who earned the nation's highest honor through acts of uncommon valor. And John Ramos has the story.
This park overlooking downtown Petaluma is named for Richard Allen Penry, a man who has come to symbolize those who fought in the Vietnam War, both for their courage and for what they had to endure when they came home. And now it appears there is finally some understanding that you can't judge one without the other. It was during Vietnam that they created the Prisoner of War Missing in Action flag to remember those who were left behind. And in some ways, it even represents those who came back. Sergeant Richard Penry, known by most as Butch, was by any account a major hero. One evening in 1970, his platoon was ambushed and most of his buddies seriously wounded. All night, he alone held off enemy fighters, and when dawn broke, he carried 18 men to safety, for which he was awarded the Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military honor. But then he returned to the States, where people hated the war, but took it out on the soldiers. Dwayne Wilson remembers what that was like.
Or you come home, and every time you turn around, there's someone either spitting on you or doing or throwing stuff at you or calling you names, calling you baby killer. In your brain, you're like, I'm proud I've served my country, I've done this, but by the time you got back and what you saw, you start to question. And a lot of that generation either self-medicated with alcohol or drugs.
Penry was in the grips of PTSD and turned to drugs to try to deal with it. He was arrested in 1973 for trying to sell $950 worth of cocaine. And it looked like that would be his legacy when he died in 1994 at age 45. But later, other soldiers who heard his story took up his cause, led by retired Major Andrew Lemarquand, who served in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I started to reach out to a lot of the folks that I served with, and it's very well known now that war trauma causes PTSD, and that PTSD is leading to suicide, high rates of drug addiction, and other, whatever people choose to cope in my generation. And then it became very clear to me that Sergeant Penry never stood a chance.
But now, after decades of red tape, Governor Newsom has pardoned Penry. And while that comes too late to give him solace, it means a lot to the people like Dwayne Wilson who worked to make it happen.
And when I got the text that the governor had approved it, I just, yes, we've helped a brother even have his name restored.
And while it was done in Penry's name, it's also for all the other guys who came home only to suffer in silence and are still suffering to this day. But Wilson says at least the country has stopped blaming its warriors and is doing what it can to get them help.
If he had the services then that they have now, it would have been a life changer. He may still be alive today.
Like a lot of others, Butch Penry never really made it home from Vietnam. But now, at least his country is beginning to understand the price he paid for going there.
And those who took up Sergeant Penry's cause are now pushing for Petaluma's Veterans Hall to be refurbished and renamed in his honor.